We're Wack and Trash. Welcome to our show. Today's episode is High School Musical 2. I came up with that at work today. I was so excited.
That was so good.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
was not ready for that.
I was just dying to see your reaction.
I loved it.
Well, good. I'm glad. But yes, welcome to Wack and Trash Recap, the movie recap podcast. I'm your host, Zach Olson.
And I'm your other host, Steven Mitchell.
And we're just the two goofballs and an addict that brings you movie recaps once every other week.
That's who we are.
That's who we are.
And now this is a special episode because I think this is probably the one that we have prepared more for than any other episode. At least I have, because it involved, normally we watch the movie.
Yeah.
And then we record basically a week later.
Yeah.
But this time we watched the movie and then listened
Steven
to
did.
some of the listened
Steven
to the
did.
soundtrack again just to make sure I got a good grasp of what was happening.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing because my phone ran out of battery like halfway through the movie, and so I only have notes to up like I don't know where my notes end. So
well,
you're gonna be carrying a lot of the show on this one.
okay. I can't wait.
Okay, let's get started.
Indeed.
Back to high school, a time which most of us would like to not remember.
Yep.
'Cause
but
most of our
thankfully-
audience is middle-aged women, so. Not saying that you guys. Okay, forget about it. What-
Alright.
Enthusiastic teacher speech on learning. We start off with the camera going through the school, right?
Yep.
And it enters the classroom, and this teacher's being all enthusiastic. She's
It's
like,
Miss Darbus, I think, and she's the theater teacher from the first one.
So
if
you
I
can-
recall correctly.
you can just imagine the enthusiasm that's dripping off this lady.
Right.
She's like, now learning is great and it's all well and good and you should keep it up over the summer. And everybody's just watching the clock.
And
The
they're
time's
like,
ticking
"Summer,
down.
Summer. And then one guy's like, what's your favorite summer memory, Mr. Jarvis?
And she's like, oh, let me recount for you.
Ah, come on, Jason.
Stupid Jason.
Everybody's mad at him. And then, bling. What
It's
time is it?
Summertime.
It's our vacation.
And then they break into song because this is a musical.
It is a musical.
And then they sing for 5 minutes about how it's summertime and they get to go and leave school. And nobody leaves school.
They don't leave school.
They don't leave
just
school.
dance
They're
around the
just
school.
And the poor janitor. We never see him actually, but you gotta imagine that he's just standing there being like, "Leave! Let me clean it and be done with my job."
Yeah. Now, a little side note that I thought was hilarious is they talk like about how they need money.
Yes.
As they're walking out of the school, they're like, I need money to like take Gabriella on a date and
go to
Oh,
college.
actually, this is really, and while they're at school, Troy had a gift for Gabriella. And
Yes.
it is a necklace with the letter T on it. And
So
she's
she-
like, T as in Troy?
He's like, "Oh yeah, baby." He's not like that, but
Yeah, but that's the vibe.
that's the idea.
Which
Is that
it seems
egotistical?
odd to me to give somebody else your letter name, right?
Well, okay.
Maybe that just says
You
how
could
single
either
I
you
am,
could either
but-
go with the route that you give them the first letter of their name, and then they're like, "What do you think? I'm stupid? Yeah, I don't know my own name," or it comes across as sweet of like, "Hey, you're mine," or it comes off as controlling of like, "Hey, you're mine," you know. So I don't know,
It
but
just
she took it
seemed-
the right way, I guess.
Yeah, she loved it. She thought it was an amazing gift.
Yes.
So as they leave the school and they have a reprise.
Of what time is it?
Summertime.
It's summertime.
And then let's go just singing again. It's
Well,
a musical,
yeah,
brother.
yeah, but I mean, we just had a song. It's been a while since I've seen musicals, so it just took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And throughout this thing, okay, so I'm gonna approach this like nobody has seen High School Musical because
Bold choice.
this was my first time of seeing High School Musical too. There's
Right.
a girl named Sharpay, which just offhand is like the most rich, bratty name ever.
Yeah, Sharpay Evans, if that makes it better.
It does not. Anyway, we learned that Sharpay and Gabriella is Troy's girlfriend.
Yeah. Troy is our main protagonist.
Yes.
Zac Efron.
And then we have his kick.
Best friend.
Best friend.
Don't downgrade him to sad.
Okay. Best friend.
Best friend Chad.
Chad. I was gonna say Chuck.
And he's rad.
Yeah, Chad is rad. The note I had here was that Sharpay and Gabriella are in a tiff. Gabriella got the guy, and Sharpay wants Troy. She's like very bratty, very snooty, so she's like, I'm gonna get what I want.
Well, also in High School Musical 1, for those of you who may not remember,
or have seen it.
You've seen the first one.
I have, but it was like years ago.
Okay. Gabriella also beat out Sharpay for the High School Musical.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
So Sharpay had double anger.
Double
and
whammy.
hatred.
Burn on burn. Well, that's the backstory there. Now we can move on to the actual summertime.
We cut to Troy's house. And Troy and his friends, they're all on a basketball team. And they come in. And they're like, yo, milk time. And so they go grab milk.
And they go.
and Troy's dad is the coach.
Oh, he's their coach.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was just playing ball with his son. And
well, he also did that. Okay, well. A man can be many things. That's.
Why did you say that like I didn't know that? That's weird. Anyway.
So they're talking about how they need jobs for the summer, but nobody's hiring them. And then Troy gets a mysterious phone call.
Bring, bring.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Is this Mr. Troy?
Yeah, that's me. Chad is like, hey, I bet that,
That's his girlfriend, Gabriella.
Yeah, and watch out. Maybe she's going to sing karaoke with someone else and fall in love with someone else this year.
Oh, stop.
And then the dad is like, nice.
Well, you got to know how to take ribbing. And it should start from
And then
your father.
the dad wants to be cool in front of all the friends, you know.
And he is cool. I mean, he's their coach.
Oh, that also, he kind of looks like John Cena. Which is
Yeah, he does. With a little bit more hair.
Yeah, it's like a Walmart version of John Cena.
Okay. All right. So we find out that Troy's phone call was from this resort that wanted to offer him a job. That's cool. I want a job so bad, but can my girlfriend Gabriella also get a job? And they're like, yeah, if it takes that to get you, then sure. And then he's like, and can I get the rest of my high school, like the entire high school? Can they also have jobs? And I'm like, what's the budget for this resort? That they can just hire a bunch of high schoolers without like blinking twice.
You know they weren't paying them minimum wage.
I do want to clarify, later on we learned that they get maybe not lodging, but they do get 2 meals a day. And I'm like, that seems pretty good to me. For a high schooler, even for me. If I didn't have student loans and rent to pay, then that's pretty good.
Even with student loans and rent to pay, it's pretty good.
Well,
2 meals? Do you know how much money I spent on food?
More so now than.
Let's go over
than
my
before.
financial statements.
Okay, pull up the bank books. Let's get back to the podcast. How about that?
So we find out that Sharpay and her brother Ryan, a very fantastic fella.
Well,
a fantastic.
Not that we
fashion
know of as of yet.
At the beginning of this movie, Ryan is trying to be a supportive brother to Sharpay,
Yes.
and unfortunately, it's kind of like a lackey.
She bosses him around. He does what she says, but
Yeah.
I do want to point out when they pull him to the resort, they are pulling up in the most pink car. Like I'm talking more than Barbie pink. It was.
Look, Sharpay walked so Barbie could run. Okay.
Wow, that was really poetic. But
So,
anyway, they pull up.
They pull up. You find out Sharpay's family owns the resort. They're like members of the board or something like that. And that's where her and her brother spend the summer every summer. And they put on a little show at the end of the year, the Dazzle Award show. Is that what it's called?
And it's all the employees.
It's all
They
the
get to-
employees.
they get to
plus,
compete.
Plus Sharpay for some reason.
But
But during this, you find out that Sharpay told Mr. Fulton, who is, I guess, the club manager. or
Also, the
something,
most patient man I have ever met, or have never
that
met.
She asked him to specifically hire Troy at, quote, whatever it takes.
And so he did. He
yeah,
got Troy.
which
But
means-
then she finds out that he also hired the entire high school, and she's like,
Yeah, and
"You
she-
weren't supposed to hire everybody."
Yeah, but she finds this out while she's singing a fantastic little song called Fabulous. You know, it's a great time.
She's gonna be fabulous. That's
not how it went, but yeah. But,
I didn't listen to the
I
soundtrack.
want to hyper-analyze a line from the song, if you'll allow me.
We'll indulge you. Yeah, sure.
Which is, I saw this online once, and I think they make a compelling point. So at the beginning of the song, she says, tea imported from New England, lifeguards imported from Spain, which kind of implies like a slavery situation. But
Well, is that where
that's-
Gabrielle is from? Because she ends up being the lifeguard. I don't think that's what she meant,
she's
but
not. But that's a good point.
I don't-
But then here's where it gets even weirder. And she says towels imported from Turkey. That's fine.
Okay.
And then she says turkey imported from Maine. Now, you can't import something within your own country, which means that the High School Musical universe takes place in some alternate reality where Maine is not a part of the continental U.S. or like they're in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Well, okay, let's be real. This is a high school where everybody just breaks into singing and dancing all the time. It's out of this world in the first place. So it's
well, yeah, but
pretty
so
logical
that
to conclude.
in my mind, it most likely means that in this alternate universe that High School Musical takes place in, something happened probably during the American Civil War, and it was a different outcome, and so now we're in this like alternate reality where like what would have happened had the South won. Now, obviously, the repercussions of that have
What?
chilled out. Because why else would Maine not be a part of the continental U.S.? A civil war would explain that, wouldn't it?
Maybe a fault line happened. I don't know, and it broke off, and now it's its own little island.
Well, I'm assuming like it's not just Maine by itself. I assume the whole sections of the U.S. are now separate from New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Now maybe New Mexico is the odd one out, and New Mexico is just a part of Mexico.
I'm sorry for how long this is taking. Maybe we should talk about something that's not theoretical. No, but it's a very interesting theory, and I appreciate that you brought that to our attention. So we'll let you guys theorize on Steven's theory. Is this an alternate reality?
Now, anyway, during the songs when Sharpay finds
Smooth
out
transition.
that the rest of the high school, basically, each time was hired, and she's most upset about Gabriella, especially because Sharpay falls into the water and Gabriella saves her.
Yeah.
She pulls Mr. Fulton aside, and it's like, when I told you to hire Troy, I didn't mean hire all at the high school.
At whatever cost, you told me. Whatever cost. He is not British, but that's...
Well, then make them want to quit.
So he doesn't make everybody quit.
Well, so he
Which
goes
means-
into the kitchen where everybody's at, and he's giving out the roles, and he is just like yelling at people. He's not really, honestly, he's pretty reasonable. He's like,
yeah.
do your job, basically.
And they're all like, we got to do our job for the summer? Yeah, I thought money just fell off of trees.
Right, and then they're like, you will refer to every client as Mr. and Mrs. whatever, for like Miss Evans. So for example, and he goes up to this one guy, and he's like, would you like some tea, Mr. Evans? And then the guy goes, actually, I'm not Miss Evans. I'm Jason.
Oh, Jason.
Classic.
Sweet Jason. From this whole interaction of him like setting up the kitchen and everything, we also learn that if you have 3 infractions to the rules of being an employee or whatever, that if there's 3 of them, then you get fired.
Yep.
That's very key here.
Yeah.
So we'll play in.
And then Chad is all, dude, what have you gotten us into? And then that's when Work It Out starts playing.
You gotta work it out. Work it out. I don't know why I'm leading any of the
Clearly
songs.
not know any of the songs.
I don't.
Continue.
And then at the end, they're all amped up.
And then Troy takes Gabriella out on a little date
Ooh.
onto the golf course.
Heyo.
Which I've never taken a girl on a date on a golf course, but I don't know, maybe it's romantic.
The
way they do things
seems
are
to be
romantic.
working for them.
Because they're having a great time. He's like, oh, Gabriella. She's like, oh, Troy. And then
Sharpay
Sharpay,
is watching from binoculars. She's like, oh, Gabriella.
her and Ryan. Yep.
Yeah.
And she's like, let me call somebody. And so she calls somebody. She's like, we missed watering the golf course today. Can you please turn them on? And so then they do. And I don't know why she thought that was going to like deter it. But
Yeah, she
it
was
just
hoping
makes
to
the moment
deter
so
Troy
much
again.
more cuter because now they're just like,
They're like,
in the, yeah,
in the
there's
rain.
in
Not
the-
rain. Fake
well,
rain.
fake rain. They're holding hands and whatnot. And it's a very sweet moment. And so her plan backfires and she walks off all
Yeah,
upset.
she's all mad.
From this, we get the first infraction for Gabriella because obviously Troy can do no wrong. At least
Right.
Mr. whatever his face is
Fulton.
knows that. Yep. So he's like, "You shouldn't have brought him out on the golf course." And Troy's like,
It's all my fault.
and he's like, "Well, I don't care what the facts are. I'm gonna give her the infraction anyway."
Yeah, I don't know why Troy. I didn't just give them both one. Maybe he did.
Well,
but-
I mean, if think about it, if Sharpay had learned that Troy got an infraction, then Mr. Fulton would have been under a lot of pressure.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's probably what he didn't. Music in me.
Is that the next one?
That's the next note I have is music in me.
Na 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 na, yeah.
You are the music in me.
That was pretty close.
Oh yeah, was it? Okay. Boom! We're getting there. By the
Yeah,
end of this,
okay.
I'm gonna have it down.
Yeah. So Troy and Gabriella. Oh yeah, they show up like they clock in. Or
Way
maybe
late.
out, but they are everybody else is working, and they are clearly not working. And if I was everybody else, I'd be so mad at them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who cares? Like, no.
Yeah. I guess. It's like, oh, we're happy and in love. Like, calm down. So they go into the piano room where Kelsey is, and Kelsey's the pianist, and she's like, I wrote you guys a song that you could sing together.
And Troy's all like, don't you know, I don't sing.
Yeah. And Gabriella's like, let's just give it a try, and that's when it.
And he's like, fine, babe. And then they start singing.
And it's a beautiful song, and it's so fun.
lovely.
And then, like, I think other people come in, they're like,
the whole
"Woohoo!"
kitchen stops working and then it goes into like the music room and starts practicing the song or whatever.
Yeah, they just start having a grand old time.
You all get an infraction. It
Yeah.
should have been, but
But I think Sharpay saw that, and she got very annoyed. So they decide to have Chad and Troy be
the caddies.
Be the caddies.
Can you tell us what a caddy is?
A caddy is the guy who carries the golf clubs around. So
For rich people.
So the rich people get to play the sport and drive the golf cart, and then the working class just carries the bags.
It feels like it's
in the hot
cheating,
sun.
right? If you're playing, let's say, ultimate frisbee, you don't get to be like, somebody come throw this frisbee for me, or like I'll throw this frisbee.
Well, but it's not like.
And then everybody has to walk while I go get the frisbee. I don't
Well,
know.
but-
It feels
but
like it's cheating.
it's not
that's half
like-
the sport, right?
How long it takes you to like walk? It is not a part of the sport. I don't think. Also, think
It's
about
the
the main
process.
clientele of golf, which is old white people. They're too weak. Their hips are gonna break if they do it.
Excuse me. What about Tiger Woods?
I don't know what you want me to say to that.
I'm just saying it's not only for rich white people, okay? Annie Hooten, Sharpay and her family go golfing
Yeah,
because
and
they can.
Yep, and so Sharpay is awful at golfing.
Well, actually, not so awful.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's a
Okay.
spoiler.
Okay.
This is Troy's opportunity to meet mom and dad, and Sharpay is clearly just trying to get her hand all
Oh,
up on
and she
Troy.
has the most annoying laugh. She's like, and I hate it. I'm sorry, that was too aggressive.
It's okay. But as they're golfing, Mr. Evans is like, "Hey, champ, you want to try taking a swing? You play golf, right?" Or Sharpay told him he played golf, and he's like, "Oh, Troy's clearly the best golfer of all of them."
Oh yeah.
And
Which
he's
how
great.
did he become such a good golfer?
He did basketball and golf apparently.
Okay, there's the two sports that go hand in hand.
You can. I don't think they play in the same season.
You got me. I have no idea what season golf is, but it's got to be summertime, right?
It's definitely not winter, right?
Anyways.
Sharpay is like, can play basketball, he can golf, he can sing, he's a triple threat daddy.
You're
Like, oh, that's the
the
triple
three.
threat.
Well, son, why don't you come join me and some of my friends for dinner?
Because he's friends with some of the board of the University of Albuquerque, U of A.
And those people, they want Una.
They're looking for that triple threat of singing, golfing, basketball.
Those three specifically.
So Troy gets back to work, back to the kitchen, and Chad was also caddying, and he was getting kind of a little salty that he was just being bossed around.
Well, he has good cause too.
Yeah, and even Ryan ended up becoming the caddy basically for Troy, which is sad.
Yep.
But he gets back to the kitchen, and Mr. Fulton is like, "Chad, back to work. Troy, put this on and come with me." Troy goes in at dinner with the U of A people.
We'll set you the Evanses.
They're basically like, "Wow, Troy, you seem really talented."
And you haven't seen anything yet, dude. Like, how do you?
Yeah, he's like, I think
Recommendation.
we could pull some strings
And
over
now,
here.
okay. And so Troy is like, I really appreciate all you're doing for me and everything, but I also should get back to work, right?
Well,
and I also
actually,
have a
more
date.
importantly, he had a date that he is scheduled with Gabriella post work.
Correct. And so he's running a little bit late. They're like, oh, let's get some dessert.
And he's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
You cut over to Taylor. That's one of Gabriella's friends. Taylor is like,
Oh, she is such an insider.
Your man cannot be late to a date. And Gabriella's like, well, it wasn't really like a real date. It was just.
And she's like, excuse me, every date is a real date, even if he doesn't know it. I'm like, that's dumb. What? Even if he doesn't know it? What do you mean if he doesn't know it? Knows what? That it's not a real date? How can you live up to that expectation? So stupid.
Well, I mean.
I'm just saying, if he doesn't know it's a date, then you should tell him that. Like you make it
yeah,
clear. Like,
you should communicate. You're right.
yes, that's what I'm upset about.
Communicate your expectations.
So anyway, Troy is late to the date, and he runs off, and he's like, I gotta get dressed real fast. Is that it? He has to go get dressed? This is where my notes run out, so things are a little bit hazy.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So he goes to get dressed.
Yes.
And then
he runs
Mr.
back.
Fulton is like,
Yes.
you must come with me again. Or maybe Sharpay makes him come somewhere. And no matter
It's
what,
Mr.
he
Fulton.
gets placed into a chair.
Yeah.
And Troy's like, what's happening?
And they're like, this is an emergency. You need to be here.
Yep. And there's like a volcano. And then Troy is like, what is happening?
And then here comes Ryan in the hula costume.
He's in a fish costume.
And he's in a fish costume.
Sharpay is in a hula costume,
Yeah.
a luau get up kind of thing.
Yeah, yep.
And she's like, hama una uma uma akupo
Tiki tiki uka uka ooh. And basically, it's the worst scene of the entire film.
I loved it.
I hated it so much. It's
Ryan,
so awkward.
I know there's no video, but I just want to. Ryan is like hunched over in this oversized fish suit, and he's just like bobbing up and down and doing this like
He's
little
got a little
shimmy.
crown on and everything.
You can
Yeah.
just see everything just shaking. It's a great, it's a great time.
Throughout
Troy
the scene.
is so uncomfortable the whole time.
Oh yeah, kudos to Zac Efron on his acting for this one because it's all body language and it is reading perfectly.
Yeah, you really feel for him in this moment of like, oh, this is the worst thing ever.
Absolutely.
Basically, during the song, the fish is the main character, really.
This is like the skit that she wants to do with Troy for the little competition at the end of the song.
Right. Which Ryan doesn't know at the start of the song
By the end
somehow,
of it, he
but
does.
by the end he realizes that he's gonna get kicked out of his role and that Troy would replace him. So he starts
guy.
getting mad. And by the way, side note, because somebody told me this when I told them that I watched High School Musical 2 recently, is that the Humuhumunukunukuāpuaʻa is the Hawaiian state fish.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
So
Fun
it's like,
fact.
wow.
Yeah, it's that. No, that's a very fun fact.
Uh,
And that's the whole name of it too.
right. It get to the end
Yes.
of the song, and Sharpay is like, so what do you think? Are you going to do it with me?
And he's like, "Well, Sharpay,
No. I don't want to do it.
And she's like, "But Troy, let me convince you. Maybe we just need to do it
Sharpay, I
again."
really like the shoes.
She's like, "Oh, these are things so much."
And as she's looking at the shoes, Troy just sneaks away and he hides behind the throne.
She's like,
Sharpay is like, what? Where did he go?
we need to rehearse again, girls. And then poor Ryan, he's just ousted out. I don't think he even has a part in the show anymore. So anyway,
So then finally Troy goes to his date.
about dang
Very,
time.
very late.
But he jumps into the pool, makes a big splash, and Gabrielle's like, "Oh, Troy, you're
We're
so
going to get in
funny."
trouble. Troy starts pretending to drown.
And so she's like, "Well, it's my job, so I gotta go save him." So she jumps in and makes it real romantic.
He stalks you and then,
Quote, unquote, saves him.
What are you doing in the pool?
Mr. Fulton, I'm so sorry. Oh, Mr. Fulton, it was all my idea.
Doesn't matter. No swimming after hours.
I don't know what that voice is, but it's great.
Mr. Fulton.
Oh, okay. So Gabriella gets a second infraction, and just Gabriella, not Troy, just Gabriella.
In fact, the next day, Troy comes into work and he gets promoted to
Yeah,
golf teacher, assistant golf teacher, or something like that.
with
and he gets
all access to the resort and amenities
and
all that
Italian
stuff.
shoes. Let's not forget about that.
Oh, don't forget about the Italian shoes. And so he's like, Mr. Fulton, what did I do to get all this? And he's like, now, look, kid, you've been smiled on favorably by the Evanses, so might as well take advantage of it while you got it.
Yep.
And so he's like, well, okay, I guess.
Yep. So Troy goes off and he starts his first day as a golf guy.
He's teaching, like, 4-year-olds how to hit a golf ball.
Yeah, he's teaching kids how to hit it, and he's like, you might want to hit it with this side of the club.
And then he turns it around. And
Yeah.
then Mr. Fulton's like, your 11 o'clock is here. And it, of course,
Sharpay.
pulls up. Yeah, in a pink golf cart, too.
Yeah,
nonetheless.
it's all for pink balls and pink
Yep.
clubs and everything.
And so he's like, you need me to teach you? She's like, if you would.
That's what he starts doing.
Mhm.
And he's like, hey, do you like my Italian shoes? They're Italian. And from a distance, Taylor and Gabriella are watching, and Taylor's like, this has stink written all over it. And Gabriella's like, come on, trust me. Troy is in so much pain having to deal with this.
Oh yes. Then he does like the stupid thing where you come around the person and you hold their hands and like help
He's
them
like,
do
let
the.
me show you how to swing the club better.
And it's so dumb.
It's like, Troy, brother, what are you doing? You know that's not
He's
what
a
you
dumb
should be
high
doing.
schooler. He's a dumb high schooler.
He is a dumb
But
high
anyway,
schooler.
Sharpay is like, I don't know how to hit the golf ball, and so then he teaches her, and then he has to run off somewhere, and then she's like, all right, whatever, and then she hits the golf ball, and it like lands perfectly
Like,
or whatever.
yeah, and so
And
you're
then
like,
Taylor's
oh.
like, I knew it, or whatever. 'Cause
Yeah, well, so
he's
Troy
getting breakfast
gets a
now.
chance to meet some of the people who play basketball at
That's right.
the University of Albuquerque,
hmm
and they're like, "Hey, Troy, you should come play 1-on-1 or like play practice with us."
And he's like, Dub, I'll come do it.
And
And then
then
his team shows up, and they're like, Troy, why don't you tell us about practice? He's like, well, it's really only a kind of a me thing. Sorry.
Yeah, and they were supposed to play basketball with the team, but
Yep.
Troy's like, "Sorry guys, it's just it's just only me and my Italian shoes."
So much about the Italian shoes.
Yeah, so much about it. And so he goes and does that. Gabriella and Chad and Taylor, and they're all just like, "Troy, you changed, bro."
No, I haven't. I just have Italian shoes now. That's all.
Yeah, like, what am I? Why you gotta be mad about that?
I'm just taking advantage of the situation and my friends.
So then you got Gabriella talk to Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
and Ryan's all sad because he's been kicked out of the show.
Right.
And Gabriella's like, "Well, why don't you run the show direct the show for the staff that we're all thinking about doing?" And he's like, "I don't know. You guys wouldn't let me on your team, would you?" And Gabriella's like, "I'm sure you could convince them." And they're all
Chad's-
playing baseball.
Chad's all like, what's this loser doing here, huh?
And so they show up to the baseball field, and Chad's like, "You play ball?" "Yeah, I play a little ball." And so then they throw like the baseball bat up, that catch it.
And then like does the hand thing, and Ryan gets his hand on top. They're like, oh snap!
All right. This
He
kid
got
knows what
something
he's
by
doing.
random chance.
And then it's the best song of the movie, in my opinion. It's like, no, yeah, I don't dance.
I know you can. Not a chance. I can do this, bro. You can do that.
And the whole time, thank you. The whole time, Chad is all like, I don't dance, and he's just like, he's doing
And
a
he's
great
dancing.
job dancing.
Well, it's like Troy saying, I don't sing. You're like, this is a musical. Obviously, you sing, right? Chad eventually is convinced by the end of the song, quote unquote game, that he's down. Well, and he gets to the end of the game, and he goes, hypothetically, Ryan, if I was to be in the show, what would you make me do? And then Ryan just smiles, and it's the end of the scene.
And then Gabriella had to try to call at some point Troy, and he couldn't pick up. And then Troy tried to call Gabriella, and they're playing phone tag. They
Yeah.
can't seem to get a hold of each other.
Just passing ships.
And then you cut back, Chad, Ryan, and Rest of them. And Chad and Ryan have switched clothes for some reason.
I don't know what it
they're trying to
implies,
imply.
but it's really weird.
And
Watch yourself,
basically,
Disney.
It's like they're all becoming like BFFs, I guess.
I guess
And
so.
Ryan's going to become the director of the staff show. And everybody's all amped up.
Which is
And-
great because he's all about that. He directs them in like their choreography and all that stuff, and which Troy walks up on,
Gabriella asked Ryan, she's like, "Ryan, how do you like dance?"
and he's like, "Let me show you." And then
Why does every one of your voices
don't know.
turn into like some prima donna?
because it's like it's Disney Channel. That's
High school.
Yeah, high school Disney shit. Like that's what it is. But
Right,
anyway,
right.
so he starts teaching Gabriella how to quote unquote dance like she doesn't know how.
Mhm.
And that's when Troy walks in and he sees them, being kind of cutesy together.
And he's
But
like,
then-
but what's going on? And Ryan's like, "Oh, Ryan just cannot take a hint as to what's going on.
Yeah.
And he just continued to touch Gabriella, like put his arm around her and stuff. And he was like, "Have you ever had her mom brownies? They're amazing." Troy's like, "I have." And so then Ryan eventually kind of gets it.
Yeah.
And he leaves.
He takes
and
his
then
arm
Troy is just like, "You didn't answer my call." And then he walks away. I don't know why he turned into Napoleon Dynamite, but
It was pretty good though. I liked it.
so everybody's telling Troy how much he's changed. So you get the scene. It's him and his dad. They're working on a car.
Mm.
They're using a basketball to prop the hood up for some reason.
Not a clue why, but that's how it is.
And Troy's like, "Dad, have I changed?" I don't remember what it said. He's like, "Gotta look out for number one, champ."
All right, thanks, Dad. So he's all about those Italian shoes.
Somehow you find out that the recruiters for the University of Albuquerque are gonna show up to
The show.
the show, And
The
that's
end
how they're
talent
going to be
show.
able to find out that Troy had the third of the triple threat.
This is my favorite part of the entire series. He's like, I'll be able to make it, and I'll be able to get that scholarship if I can just hit a high C. One note stands between you and a free ride. That's
it's a high
wild.
C.
A high C? Are you? Oh my gosh.
So Troy has finally basically agreed to do the show with Sharpay. Everybody's mad at him. And she's like, they briefly meet the recruiters that are going to be there. Sharpay shows up. She's like, Troy, I think you should wear this tie. Oh my goodness. And this color looks good on me too. What's skin tone compatible? Which is like, what does that mean?
That means that she's trying to grasp at straws for anything that they can relate on. She's very insecure.
Oh, yeah.
As we learn throughout this entire movie, which you probably have learned by High School Musical 1. So anyway, they go
like,
off and they start practicing, right?
Chad delivered Troy a sandwich, and then Troy's like, oh, like as he's talking to the recruiters.
Yeah.
And Chad comes up, and Troy's like, oh my goodness, I almost forgot. I ordered Swiss.
Dude.
Don't do that to your boy.
No.
Don't make him go back and change the cheese on that sandwich.
I think when he had the conversation with his dad was not clear enough to say, hey, look out for number one, but like not in like the selfish way. I don't know if that was conveyed.
At the beginning of the movie,
He gets quite an attitude.
the dad says something along the lines of like, as long as you guys stick together, there's nothing you can't do. So
Yeah.
he's definitely all about being a team player.
Absolutely. Well, he's a coach. He better be.
Yeah.
So then we go to Sharpay and Troy, who are practicing their song together, the Humuhumunukunukuāpuaʻa.
Well, I don't.
But then Troy.
Who?
Troy and Sharpay.
They stole the Music and Me song.
That's right.
And
yes.
try to make it like upbeat and like.
And she goes to the piano girl,
And
and she's like, "Can you make this more upbeat, please?" And then she turns into some weird pop song that is awful.
yeah, it's not nearly as good. And then during the scene, also Kelsey and Ryan are in the same room, and you find out that if Troy and Sharpay are skin compatible, then Ryan and Kelsey are hat compatible. They have the same hat on.
Yeah, they do. Look at that.
But really, it's just Sharpay's show, and Troy had like 2 lines.
Yep.
And Troy's kind of like, I don't know if I can do it. And as he's leaving, Gabriella stops him. And this is the saddest scene in the whole movie, because the Gabriella's like, I gotta go my own way.
And he's like,
What about us? What about everything we've been through?
"What about trust?"
You know I never wanted to hurt you. And then she gets in the minivan and drives off.
Which I hope it was her parents. Just a no.
It's definitely her mom.
She said
I
yeah.
think
She said
you
her
see
mom was
her
on
in
her
the
way.
car.
Yeah.
Don't make it weird. All right.
Just the first thing that came to mind. Now Gabriella's gone. She out of the picture.
Gabriella's gone.
Oh boy, Troy.
Chad
You
hates
really messed up.
Troy. Like, Troy's whole world falling apart.
Yep.
And you know he's falling apart because he can't shoot hoops or hit a golf ball.
Anytime this man is in a pickle, he cannot play sports to save his life.
Then this is kind of his moment.
Yeah.
Where he starts, it's a new day.
He runs up onto a golf course, the little hill, and he strikes a pose.
And
he waits for the music to start.
Paint a visual picture for us as to what this pose is.
Imagine it's the early morning, right?
Yeah. like I'm
The
there.
sun is rising.
Mhm.
The mist is just dissipating.
I'm with you.
It's a beautiful crisp morning. You're out on the golf course.
As I
You're
am.
about to tee up, hit
Right.
the first ball.
Mhm.
Here's this man walking across this course. You're like, I don't know who this man is. Maybe he's getting ready for something.
Ancient
then-
high schooler in all black.
And then he strikes a pose for no reason.
What is this pose then?
This
That's
this pose is like if you think about the David statue, but that's what comes to mind, but with clothes on.
yeah.
And you're just I don't know why he strikes that pose, but it's very weird. And so
great.
he does his own like little redemption song, right?
Yeah.
And he's dancing around the golf
He's
course.
just like, I know my plan. Yeah.
And he's doing all these very cool moves. It'd be a lot better if it was like a big choreography, like with lots of people.
Yeah,
but
it's really funny by himself because most of the choreography is just Joy running around on a golf course and jumping occasionally.
he looks like a crazy
It's like
man.
you can bet on it. And it's like, woo. I wonder how Zac Efron felt as he was recording it. Just
You
like
have a-
him
you have
and
a whole
all the
camera
camera
crew
guys
watching, yeah.
just watching him frolic on a golf course.
You got to
for,
know
like,
that there was
30
somebody else like off the golf course or whatever, and they were just watching this thing. They're like, not a clue, but this man's crazy.
Boy.
So then Troy finally sucks it up, goes back to Chad, and he's like, "Man, I really let you guys down. I'm basically a loser."
Brothers fight sometimes. Chad's like, "You right. We are brothers," and they bro hug it out.
That's
And
pretty
you're
cool.
like,
It's
"We
a
back."
very very
And
cute
then
moment.
he also apologizes to Ryan, and it's like, "You're not so bad. You've been teaching these kiddos how to dance. That couldn't have been easy." You know?
And Chad's like, "Yeah, tell me about it."
Yeah.
And that's when the thing gets posted, right?
Yeah. So basically,
Good.
Sharpay is so mad about all of the staff having this like baller show that
Right.
and that Ryan's
Because she
directing.
knows she can't win.
Right. She tells Fulton to make all of the staff work instead of be able to perform.
No staff is able to work
Yeah,
or
and
perform
so-
on the night.
What Troy decides to do is he goes to Fulton and he asks for his old job back as a dishwasher or whatever.
Mhm.
And then he goes to Sharpay and it's like, "I can't do the show.
What?
I'm on staff. Staff can't perform."
We'll make an exception for you.
Like, "You've got a show to do, Troy." And then he said this most baller line. He said, "No, you've got a show to do. I've got a kitchen to clean." Sharpay is a mess. She starts crying. She's like, "What have I done?"
Does
I've
nobody care about me?
Yeah,
Yeah, somebody
And-
does. You do.
rude.
I know. I'm sorry.
And so Ryan does care about her actually. So
Yeah.
he goes up to Troy and is like, "Hey, I know she's a lot, but I don't really want to see my sister crash and burn. So do you think you can do the song with her?"
Go with her. Yeah.
And Troy's like, "Fine, whatever." And then they were like, "But we've got a new song for you to learn."
And then he learns it in like 5 minutes.
Well, here's the weirdest thing.
Well, that's
so
true.
okay, so Fulton is like, "Sharpay, you've got to come on."
Because
and-
right now there's a lady on stage and she's doing like puppet,
A sock puppet.
yeah, puppet impersonations or whatever. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so Fulton's like, we got to get her off stage because
Yeah,
she's ruining
so she's
the
like,
mood.
"You need to get on stage right now." But then they tell Troy, "You need to learn this new song." And Kelsey's like, "It's okay, I'll teach you. Come with me." And it's like, you don't have what?
You're on now.
It's supposed to be happening in this very moment. What are we doing? So then they go on stage, and it's just this new song. And Sharpay, they like goof her over again.
I-
I guess Ryan was a liar because they kind of like.
So what happens? What happens is he starts singing. Troy starts singing. Give us what it is.
I don't remember.
Okay, well,
this
so
is-
it's like the worst song of the entire.
Yeah, and my hot take, I think it's the worst song in the entire franchise. Would have been so much better to have done like a good version of the music and me at this moment instead of the song which is called Every Day, and they're like, "Every day."
True,
Oh,
I agree with that. But so anyway, Troy is singing the song. He's expecting expecting Sharpay to come on stage and sing it with him, and then he hears Gabriella's voice
Yeah,
and is like looking for her, and then
the crowd parched like the Red Sea, and
and here she comes, looking like an angel. She doesn't
Uh-huh.
have wings, but she's walking down very slowly,
yeah, and so she starts singing, and then
and he's singing.
and it's very
They sing
cute,
together.
and then the rest of the shot cast comes in and they sing, and Sharpay comes in and she's singing.
So that's
getting-
where I'm like, all right, they didn't fully screw her over because they're like, hey, come be a part of this with everybody.
Yeah, I
it
guess.
doesn't
So
just
then
have
it
to be
just
your
becomes
show.
like a kumbaya moment. They get
Yeah.
in a big circle and
It's
sing
cute.
together.
Yeah.
It's cute. And everybody, the weird thing though, it's not that good. It's again, worst song in the franchise. And all of the people watching, including the recruiters from Albuquerque, like stand up and they're like jamming. And
They're like-
that is
they're
not the
like-
vibe of the song.
It's
whatsoever.
like they're raving at a party when the whole cast is singing like some sort of like
it's like a,
sentimental show tune.
yeah.
It's weird.
It is very odd. And at the end, though, the thing died down, and Mr. Fulton is like, "Now to prevent our dazzle aurora to, of course, none other." And then Sharpay has her moment, and she grabbed it, and she's like, "My brother, Ryan Evan."
And so, and she hands it to him, and he's over the moon because he's
like,
been wanting this for
my
like
goodness,
forever.
yeah. You know, Sharpay always takes it from him.
Yeah.
And so they're just, and everybody's happy and getting along. They're just
People
all smiley.
changed. Look at that.
Troy and Gabriella, I guess, are back together. And so you see them walking down. They're holding these big old lanterns, the paper lanterns, like
Yeah,
Tangled.
yeah, like
down this
Tangled.
very CG hill, or like fake hill.
Yeah.
And then Troy and Gabriella send their lanterns up to the sky.
They let it
can
go.
Float.
Yep.
But none of the other lanterns seem to float. They're all on the ground.
It's the magic of their love, Steven.
Are Chad and Taylor not in love? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, yeah. Look, the lanterns don't lie. That's your litmus test. If you're ever in a relationship, not sure how it's going, go light yourself a lantern. If that thing floats, you're okay.
Wow. Good word. And we haven't even gotten to the takeaway.
We haven't yet. But we're close. We're
Very
close.
close. So everybody's happy. You get the vibe that Kelsey and Ryan were going to be a thing, but then she's like holding hands with Jason or something at this end scene.
Which,
like, what
nothing
are we
against
doing?
my boy Jason, but like, you're going to pick him, really?
Over Ryan?
When Ryan's right there? I don't know.
No,
It's
I mean,
weird.
High School Musical 3 does change that, but...
Spoiler alert, sorry.
So then the movie's over, but they have one more song.
It's summertime again, or whatever.
they're like-
they're
now
they're
it's-
singing like it's the beginning
They
of
say,
summer.
Like, the summer just begun.
And
Now
you're
the
like,
real fun has begun. or
it's already
something
like
that.
the end of July.
Yeah,
Your summer's
like, it's
almost
gotta be
over.
a minute.
Yeah,
Because I thought the show happened at the end of the summer.
yeah, doesn't make sense.
It
But
doesn't make sense.
everybody's
But
happy.
They're
They're
having
jumping
a
in
good
the
time.
pool.
They're playing in the pool.
Yeah.
It's just a hoot and a
Floaties.
half for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's on to High School Musical Theory, which
High School Musical 3 senior year? Yeah.
don't be a nerd, Steven. Don't be a nerd. So let's go to the takeaways since, yeah, that's part of the show.
Yeah.
First takeaway, Steven, what is it?
So apparently, if you're in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
and you get Italian shoes, you should not bring up that they're Italian shoes because everybody will think you're being pretentious about it. And I didn't really understand why they got so upset about Troy for mentioning his Italian shoes so much.
Can
He really-
I ask you one question?
Yeah.
How is it you can't say that they're Italian at all, or is it like you get a one and done kind of a situation? You'd be like, "Hey, I got Italian shoes."
I think just play it safe.
Just
Because
don't mention
It
their
really,
ethnic-
to me,
don't mention your shoes ethnicity.
don't mention your shoes being designer Italian shoes because it really seemed like the catalyst for the end of all the relationships. Like from
Yeah.
that moment on was when his relationship with Chad and Gabriella went down the drain. Right?
Or maybe it's that you should clarify what your father means when you have deep conversations with him.
No, it's the Italian shoes.
Okay, all right. That's a good point. Good takeaway.
That's what's your takeaway.
Well, I already kind of alluded to it, but it's the lantern thing, right? If you're in a relationship, don't really know where it's going. You know, maybe the Disney way is the real way for real relationships. Maybe you know, maybe life is a musical, and you can find magical things like knowing how good a relationship is by whether your lantern will float or not.
Or, you know, whatever.
So if you're questioning things, you know,
That's a
Light
when
a
it was
lantern.
your like Jen thing with the girl, Jenna, whatever.
exactly.
That's
Now, to be fair, that and a little communication could go a long way.
Yeah, the communication probably would have helped maybe more, but if they had done the lantern earlier, they would have been like, "Oh, we are still in love. Okay, great."
All's good.
Yeah, and then the very last thing, that's not as much of a takeaway. It's more of a piece of advice. If you're in high school right now and you want to get a scholarship to college, don't study the SATs or the ACTs or whatever. Just make sure you're really good at basketball. Make
Yep.
sure you're good at golf.
And hit that high C.
And hit that high C. And then you are guaranteed a scholarship at really any school of your choice.
Man, I did that wrong.
Yeah,
I would've
I
been
know. Why do I have loans?
I just so dumb. Also, singing really prepares you for life, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't.
I mean, look how they all turned out, and they went to a musical school.
Well, we don't know how they turned out post
True.
high school.
True.
This has been
I
Wack and
think
Trash
that-
Recap.
I think
the movie
that's it.
recap podcast. If you have a movie suggestion,
Yeah.
you can always email us, or maybe you just want to say hello. You
And
can
then
email
we'll
us-
say bonjour.
Oh yeah, I know. According to our Spotify thing, we don't have any French listeners, as far as I'm aware.
Darn it.
But we do have.
I'm going to talk to Eloise. I'll get her.
Oh, good. Yeah. But we do have a at least a Russian listener or a Russian bot. So maybe whatever the Russian word for hello is could be said. Nostrovia.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway,
Hello.
the email that you would say bonjour or Russian hello is wackandtrash@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. Hit us with a high C to outro.